Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education and Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Grow West, the Technology Council of West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and local partner Sprocket Innovation in Paducah and the Kentucky Innovation Station in Madisonville. Welcome back, episode 182, where we are talking about the news of the last few days and weeks. Trying to see what can we learn about our organizations, ourselves, from these stories that can help us stay a little bit safer in cyberspace. So we're going to dig into it, and I've got a number of stories I want to highlight today. And some of the stories I want to highlight today are not directly about this story, but what it represents. So, like for the example, the shopping app Temu, which is very popular because of how inexpensive it is. It is one that I have heard from since I heard about Temu, that it was sharing information illegally against its user claims, with just collecting information about its users. Well, that is illegal in our country. If you're not disclosing and if you don't get that opt-in, it is potentially illegal. Whether they are really collecting that data or not, I honestly don't know. But in Arkansas, the Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against Temu, saying that it is dangerous malware, spying on your text, spying on your information. I have heard that bank accounts could get compromised because of this app. And so there's a lawsuit that has officially been filed against the organization or against the company. The reason I bring this up is that there are so many times that we use apps or we use websites and we take it for granted. Nowadays, we know that on websites that if there's a little lock on the screen, that it's a secure connection. Yes, that means it's a secure connection. That does not tell you anything about how that organization is using your data. That does not tell you anything about an app and what it's doing with your information. The point to me of this example is not so much about Temu, although, I do have my concerns, but it is more about apps in general where we just assume and take it for granted that they are going to do the right thing with our information. And that should not be the case. Just because it's secure connection, let me back up. You need to make sure that you're using a secure connection when you're giving information. But just because it's a secure connection doesn't mean it's a safe connection. Meaning it doesn't mean that we know what they're doing with their information. So you got to be careful. There's an article, this out of Wisconsin. The point of the article is that small businesses are at higher risk for cyber attacks than others. There was an interview with the Better Business Bureau state director in Wisconsin, and he was talking about how small businesses are at higher risk. They're at a higher risk for a few reasons. And I want to touch on one thing that he talks about in this article is that small businesses do a lot with social media because small businesses need to get their name out. Social media can be an inexpensive, if not free way to do that, just time. And it'll highlight and brag about their customers and different things that are going on. Well, hackers are using small businesses and their social media as gateways to other attacks, to other things. So we have to be careful with small businesses on what information we're putting out. Additionally, small businesses probably don't have the same level of cybersecurity protection that a larger business would. So another reason why it has to be careful about what you're doing internally for a small business to make sure that it's safe against hackers. Point of all this is be alert. If you're using social media, realize what information is being put out there and how hackers may be able to use that information to turn around and to attack you, or to be able to attack your customers by saying that they are you. If there's a customer picture with the vice president of sales and marketing and a customer, if I call that customer and say that I am you, they it is known that there's a relationship. Now, what can we do to leverage that? It's a concern. It's something to be careful about. We talked about a few weeks ago how Apple has announced their AI for their platform. This is an opinion piece on Market Watch, but the opinion piece is talking about how that can be a risk to your privacy and data security. Absolutely is true. Everything that uses your data to improve itself is a security risk. Whether we're talking about free clothes with Temu or we're talking about more functionality with our phone, there's nothing for free. If it's low cost or free, then what else are they doing with that information? It's something that we certainly need to be careful about. Now let me talk about this one, and let me say I'm not a legal expert. I'm not even I'm not a lawyer, but I do want to touch on this because I think this is going to be interesting. There were a lot of court cases that the Supreme Court released rulings on over the last week or so. One of them is going to really cause chaos in cybersecurity. There was a court case that was decided back in the 80s, the Chevron doctrine. And basically what it said was that regulatory agencies could interpret congressional intent. There's a lot of times in my experience dealing with the FCC, there's a lot of times where Congress isn't clear on, well, I'll give an example. When the Telecom Act of 1996 was passed, the word broadband is not in there. Well, broadband is the primary means of communications now, and it's not in that law. So the FCC over time has had to interpret how they can regulate broadband, and network neutrality has grown out of that in different pieces. Well, what this court case has said is that now court cases or regulatory agencies don't have the ability to interpret congressional intent. What that means in cybersecurity is that there's a lot of regulatory agencies that have added cybersecurity requirements, whether it's reporting, whether it's different requirements of tools and techniques that organizations need to apply. Now it's thrown up. Now, is that legitimate or not? Do they have the power to do that or not? We're going to have to see how things go and where that falls. But there's a chance that a lot of the security reporting, breach notification, those types of things are no longer going to be applicable if Congress doesn't act. And that's always a concern. Last one. Oh, it's not going to pop up. Well, let me talk about it. Is that there's a new ransomware gang that has added a new technique to its. Oh, I don't want that up there. A new technique to its approach to attacking you. Typically, ransomware attacks have been based on them sending a message, doing all of this anonymously, still anonymous, but doing this through your computer. Now, there's a new ransomware gang that is actually making phone calls to you and making phone calls on a regular, frequent, and ongoing basis until you relent. So my point with that is that if you're receiving phone calls now that, always be skeptical of phone calls, skeptical of emails, be skeptical in general in this world that we live in. But now that is a known tool for ransomware gangs and for the Volcano Demon ransomware gang in particular that are making phone calls to victims as well of trying to impress upon the importance of paying that ransom. So be careful with that. There's a lot of things going on. Stay vigilant. We'll continue to talk about approaches and techniques that you can take to stay safe in cyberspace, but be careful. There are attacks happening all the time, and we need to be careful and stay vigilant. Anyway, I hope you found today's news interesting. Hopefully that helps you a little bit to keep yourself and your organization safe in cyberspace. And I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.